Left of the box. Anyway, a couple notes on what's happening in the States. You see that glow outside your window? That's that is the dumpster fire that's the United States. Uh, yeah. So in the last week, the United States is no longer the United States. That's what it is. They're no longer the country they were a week ago. Like quite literally, they're not the same country. Uh, Changes to what their presidents can do, literally get away with murder if they make it an official act. Things to do with environmental protections out the window. So, it's up to the courts to decide what is safe to go into drinking water. What can go wrong there? As opposed to like the environmental protection agencies that specialize in that sort of thing. The debate happened. Silver lining of that is that it exposed just how much Joe Biden has deteriorated, and there might be enough of a pushback soon enough that it's in the wind that Joe Biden might step down, but people don't like getting their hope up. I get that. I understand that. So a lot of what's been happening in politics lately, I just still go back to that thing in my brain about the movie Taken. For those of you, I imagine most people have seen it. With what's Liam Neeson? Liam Neeson's in it, and his daughter is traveling to Europe, and she's about to get kidnapped by human traffickers in the hotel, and he's on the phone with her. And I feel like we're at that phase right now in the United States anyway, and in large part Canada too, where it's kind of like he's telling her while she's hiding under the bed, these are the things you need to do to prepare. Tell me this, get ready for this, take this, do this. I feel like we're at that phase now. But the thing is that at any moment, those traffickers could have been like, you know what? Life choice is really bad. Maybe we shouldn't be doing this. You know what? This kind of sucks. This is a horrible way to make a living. Maybe we should just walk out and leave the door closed. And that is kind of what it is with Joe Biden right now. Maybe he could just drop out and close the door, but we're not there yet. He's still knocking on that door. And the reason why he's the threat is because if he runs, he's gonna lose. He's going to lose to Donald Trump. There's no way around it. He will lose. And then that real threat will be in charge of a country where he is quite literally above the law. Like already a lot of the charges and stuff that have been up against him, they're starting to drop because of this new ruling and everything. And it's really just watching it crumble so quickly. It is really just wow. And we're at that. I don't want to put my faith in Joe Biden dropping out because humans are stubborn. The people who run for politics generally aren't doing it for the people. They're doing it for their own sense of ego and self and power and all that sort of stuff. And I'm not necessarily the type, it's kind of like, let's just deal with what we know right now. And right now, Joe Biden is still in the race. And so if right now maintains, that means he's going up against Donald Trump. He will lose. Start preparing for that right now. Look for politicians that you can put your faith into to support. Start networking. Start finding out in your areas what kind of organizations are available, organizations that you might need support from, or organizations that you can get involved with to fight back against this. Like that's what needs to happen. Start laying the groundwork now for the fights that are going to need to happen in the future. And even if by some chance, and it is a growing chance, Kamala Harris takes over, the current vice president, she stands a much, much better chance of winning the election. Still no guarantee, but she stands a much better chance. The fight's not over. It's just a different fight. So start preparing now. Hey, Joe. Hey, Joe. It's time to go. I don't even know how this is a conversation at this point. Okay, it has nothing, again, nothing to do with his age. I'm not ageist here, but we've all seen him completely fall apart. And I keep on hoping that he's going to drop out, that somebody's eventually going to pressure him to drop out, because this whole attitude of like, oh, well, we'll give it 2 more tries to see if he's coherent enough. And it's like, you don't get to do that. You're gambling with the lives of hundreds of millions here. Like in no other profession can you do what Joe Biden does when he was questioned about like, so what happens if you lose the election? And instead of making it about the people, he made it about himself and just said, well, I tried my best and that's all that matters. No, it doesn't. Like if you miss a sales target and you tell your boss, you know what? I tried my best and that's all that matters. You're getting fired. You know, back when I was working at Rebel HQ, I tried my best to make videos, but they weren't picking up steam in the algorithms. I didn't keep my job there because results matter. You know, trying your best when it comes to this world doesn't matter. Results do. And so if he fails at this, the consequences will be felt by hundreds of millions of people. But I see him and people are just constantly still just putting him up on this little pedestal or cutting him all the slack. Like, you know what? He did a press conference at 8 p.m. and he seemed really awake for it. That's not something you should be bragging about. That isn't something that should be lauded. Like, seriously, you need somebody in the, like, yes, America is probably the most powerful nation on the planet. You know, I'll say that as a Canadian. I will say that. Okay, you need somebody who could potentially stay awake for 24 hours to deal with a crisis. You know, somebody who can be called upon every time of night or day or whatever, and they have to be alert and active, not fall into these windows where they aren't as fallen into the dementia as before. Okay, Joe has to step down, and everyone around him who keeps on enabling him, they're all responsible for this outcome. No reasonable person would look at that and say, you know what, he's still capable. He's capable. It's like, okay, fine. Let's just take away his presidency right now and see who would hire him for anything. For anything. I wouldn't even feel safe hiring him as an Uber driver. Okay, he would not be able to get any other job right now, but somehow the president of the United States is still something he's applying for. Are you kidding? Are you fucking kidding me? How is this a conversation? Okay, Joe has to go. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He has to go. And everyone who keeps on saying, you know what, it's not so bad, and you hear him say, well, I'm not as sharp as I used to be. Great, then you shouldn't be there because you weren't sharp that sharp in the first place. You know, leave while you still have some sort of legacy intact, you know. If you take out the horrific, you know, genocide enabling he's doing, when it comes to domestic stuff in the United States, he was pretty good. But then he just totally is like, oh, okay, political violence, really bad, huh? So here, Israel, here's some 500-pound bombs to drop on starving refugees within Gaza. Just drop these bombs on them. It's not political violence to do that. But it is just, looking at this, it seems so unreal. Like, no movie script could top this. Nothing. It's like an alternate dimension. Like, we're living in the mirror dimension as we speak. We were somehow transported here without our knowledge. And we're just kind of watching it unfold because all sense of reason, all logic just seems to have escaped people. Joe Biden should not be in the race right now. Neither should Trump. Neither of them are qualified to run the most powerful nation in the world. And I say that as a Canadian, because what happens in the United States have global impacts, especially to Canada, with us being the neighbor. It is just so beyond the pale that there's so many people around Joe Biden still thinking that he can pull this off. Because Trump just got, the best campaign photos, the best campaign ads, people suddenly supporting this victim of political violence. Biden's going to lose if you keep him in. He's going to lose. You don't need to be a political savant to know that's the case. He needs to step down for the sake of the hundreds of millions of people in the United States and the hundreds of millions of people around the world that United States policies will affect. And the influence that, the political state of the United States has on our Canadian politicians. Because Pierre Poilievre, we're going to get into him in just a little bit, he is definitely just saying, like, he's taking notes right now. He's taking the notes. He's looking at what's happening at the United States and he's like, oh, so I gotta do this, and then, oh, evangelicalism, okay, yep, check that, and I'll do that, and yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit.